Ever since the death of Pope Francis on Easter Monday, the Catholic Church has been without a leader. Now the Vatican has confirmed that the process of electing the next head of the Church will start next week. Some 135 cardinal electors will take part in a so-called conclave, beginning on Wednesday, the 7th of May. That's the name of the secretive gathering that will appoint a successor to Pope Francis. The conclave will meet in the Sistine Chapel, which has been closed to tourists in preparation. The cardinals will vote until a candidate gains a majority. The building is swept for listening devices and the cardinals aren't allowed to leave except to eat and sleep. Each round of unsuccessful voting is signalled to the outside world by black smoke emerging from a specially built chimney. Once a candidate has a majority, there'll be white smoke. Then the world will know. Habemus Papam, which means we have a pope. Journalist David Willey has spent decades reporting from Rome. He's met and reported on the lives of several popes and has written a book about the late Pope entitled The Promise of Francis, the Man, the Pope and the Challenge of Change. David Willey, welcome to DW. Welcome to the day. The Vatican says a conclave could have begun on the 6th of May, but they've opted to go a day later. Why?
Well, there's a public holiday between and another Sunday, and I think they wanted an extra day to reflect on this very important choice which they're going to have to make for the future of the Catholic Church. So they want to give themselves a bit more time in private discussion, I think.
OK. And is this likely to be a quick affair?
I think they should make some sort of final decision within 2 or 3 days of the start of the conclave. What happens is they will meet on the morning of the 7th of May, and they will then begin voting that very afternoon, and they hold 4 votes a day until somebody reaches a 75% majority, and then they come out and they let the white smoke come out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. The crowds will cheer and everybody will be agog to find out who is going to be the next pope. But I really think that it's almost impossible at the moment to make useful forecasts, because although there are divisions within the church between those who would like, the cardinals who would like to return to a more traditional form of Catholicism than that which was practiced by the late Pope Francis, there are many of his appointees, and he has the majority of the appointees, who would like to see the policies of the late Pope continue. So I think there'll be something of a battle going on behind the scenes during these coming days before May the 7th.
Because let's talk about the battle and the politics of this election. So is it about change versus stasis, or are the lines more likely to be geographical or doctrinal?
Well, first of all, there is the geographical question, because hitherto popes have predominantly been Italians or Europeans. And it was a great break with tradition to have a pope from Latin America. There could be another pope from Latin America, but they're talking very openly now, the cardinals among themselves, about the possibility of the first ever pope either from Asia or from Africa. Both are possible. I don't know whether the majority of the cardinals are going to buy this, but all I can say is that I think the traditionalists who are led really by a small group of American cardinals, are perhaps less powerful than they think they are. They've made a lot of noise. They've been openly critical of Pope Francis for many of his policies. But I think that the majority is going to be in favour of continuing the policies of the past Pope, and then having somebody like him who is open, who doesn't just teach with heavy and difficult to read theological documents, but is very human and talks openly to people. I was very lucky going around the world with 3 recent popes, being able to talk with them in the air at 36,000 feet on the papal plane. The Vatican charters a plane for papal travel, and the Pope himself and 20 of his closest aides travel first class, and the 60 or odd Vatican reporters who are accredited to the Vatican sit in the back. They pay first class fares, and they basically finance the operation as far as the travel is concerned.
And is there lobbying, discreet or otherwise? Is there double bluffing? Are there outward displays of reluctance at people's names even being put forward while at the same time doing deals in dark corners?
Well, there are dark corners, clearly, but most of the important discussions take place in secret, I must say, in the Vatican, in the small audience hall, which has been purpose-built for this purpose. And every morning they will be meeting from 9 till about 1 o'clock, and each cardinal will be given the chance to make a speech and to put forward his view of the policies to be forwarded by the next pope. But the number of already today they've been talking about the huge variety of problems which face the papacy at the moment. Just to mention a few of them: what to do about homosexuals, about paedophile priests who've been abusing children. The original Vatican attitude was that this was an American problem. Well, guess what? It's been a worldwide problem. We know that there's been many cases of priestly abuse, not only in America, but in North America, but also Latin America, France, here in Italy. And there has been massive cover-ups. There's the problem of financing the church. Peter's Pence, which is this fund set up by the Vatican for voluntary contributions from faithful around the world, has been suffering in recent years. There's not as much money coming in. From Germany, for example, also a lot of Catholics have decided to stop paying the church tax, which they're required to do for continued membership of the church. So people have been leaving the church in droves in Germany. Similar situations in many other traditionally Catholic countries. So there are a lot of very important policy decisions to make.
And are there names emerging? I appreciate that this can change. 4 votes a day. You know, you're not necessarily going to get the most popular. You might just get the least unpopular. But are there names being bandied around at the moment?
There are. There's a list of what are called papabili, possible new popes being circulated in the media and elsewhere. We all know who they are. One name that's going around is, of course, Cardinal Parolin, who was the Secretary of State of the late Pope. He has been somebody who's been very close to arranging church policies, and he's regarded as a very steady hand. But he's not a very charismatic person. One person who has been mentioned a lot is Cardinal Tagle of the Philippines, a predominantly Catholic nation who speaks 7 languages. I think the language capabilities of the next Pope are going to be very important. You see, Pope Francis didn't speak really very good English. He understood a bit. He spoke with difficulty. Pope Benedict, his predecessor, had fairly good English, but not perfect. And of course, Pope John Paul II, the Polish Pope, practically spoke no English at all. So I think there's been a mindset in the Vatican that everything can take place in Italian. Well, when you're having to deal with worldwide television audiences, it's very useful to be able to give your message in the English language.
Fascinating analysis, and we thank you for it. Journalist and papal biographer David Willey in Rome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.